Hey there, this is Mr. Herman, and I'm here as promised with a video on fractional exponents and evaluating them without a calculator. You could use a calculator for this also too, but we want to try and not use one because when we get variables, we won't be able to use a calculator for variables. So let's give this first one a try. Remember we talked about in class how you could actually do this with 3 lines, and you use the lines like 1, 2, and then 3, just as your 3 steps. And if you remember, the first one is going to be to rewrite as the radical. After that, you're going to evaluate the radical, which is actually evaluating that denominator part of it, which is the 6. After that, then we'll evaluate the numerator part. So first, let's write the radical like this, 64. Put the 6 out here on the shelf, and the 5 goes inside. And then we got to figure out the 6 through to 64. And this is where calculators do come in handy, but keep something in mind. If the 64 is a whole number, then whatever number is multiplied by itself 6 times gives you that is also a whole number. So you could think of this as something times something, again, times itself 6 times equals 64. So what is that something? And you'll find quickly that it's a 2. So that 2 comes down, this whole thing here, 6 root equals 2. Then bring the 5 down, and we got 2 to the 5th. Now we just evaluate 2 to the 5th, and that's 32. So 64 to the 5/6 power equals 32. Let's try another one. How about this one here? Do the 3 lines, and let's write as a power. As a radical. So we get 81 to the 4 on the shelf and 3 inside here. The 4th root of 81 is what number times itself? 4 times equals 81, and that's 3. Bring the 3 down, and we get 3 to the 3rd, which is 27. Let's try another one now. This one's a little harder than we did in class, but it's the same general idea. On this one, we got 1 2/5, which is a mixed number, and we talked about how when you're doing this, you always put one number on the shelf, like this, and one number in here. Well, I've got 2 numbers, so, why don't we change that to a improper fraction? So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. So let's change it to 32 to the 7/5. Now it's easier to work with. Now we can rewrite it like we did before. So we'll have 32 in the radical, 5 out here, and 7 over here. We didn't really talk about this in class much, but it's much easier to do the radical first. You can evaluate this part first, but you're going to need a calculator for that. And for the second part, and it's easier to do it this way without one, so that's what we did without one. The 5th root of 32 is what number times itself? 5 times equals 32, and it's 2. And then bring down the 7. And then 2 times itself 7 times equals 128. All right, have fun with these.